Robert Boltz is a Vietnam veteran who lives in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. He was born on November 9, 1946, and has an important story to share about his military experience. The highest rank he achieved was a Specialist 4th class. He served in the United States Army for 1 day short of 2 years, 1 day for traveling. He was drafted when he was 18 years old on February 9, 1966. He served in the Army until he got out on February 8, 1968, because of a family death.
What was the cause of the Vietnam War?
Supposedly, the cause of the Vietnam War was to stop the spread of communism, stop the overrun of South Vietnam from the communist North Vietnamese. That was our role in there. We went in as advisors for ARVN troops. They were supposed to take over, and one thing led to another, and the United States got involved with it. Had some serious problems with guys being shipped over there. You know that over 58,000 men and women lost their lives in Vietnam, compared to Iraq, Afghanistan. Numbers on, you just can't fathom 58,000 people just gone. That was a 10-year war. 10 long years. And we were only supposed to be advisors. I mean, it's now you know what countries you can get into.
After Mr. Boltz was drafted, he stated that his family was very accepting of the draft because that was what young men did during this time period. He left Lebanon on a bus and only knew one other person on that bus who would eventually be discharged from the Army during basic training because of foot ulcers. He left his family to begin basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which was the first time since the Korean War that basic training was held at this location. The Army needed artillery people, and he was one of 2,500 that had basic training at this site. He had the opportunity to meet and become friends with men from many states and cultures, which were different from the Pennsylvania Dutch area where he grew up. His first challenge was dealing with basic training.
Please tell me about your basic training.
Well, it was a tough challenge for 18-year-old kids to have someone breathe down their necks for 24 hours. You know, that was my mother, the Army, the drill instructors. But they broke you down in basic training, like any other basic training, to nothing, and then rebuilt you up to feel that you were a person. You mattered to the Army, you mattered to the Marines, and you adapted their way of life.
His living conditions during the war were not pleasant. He lived in a tent and had to steal lumber from the shipyard to build frames around the tent, which leaked. In addition, he and his tent mates filled sandbags around the tent to protect them from a mortar attack. Also, they had no flush toilets and had to eat a lot of canned foods, which were high in calories.
On a typical day during the war, it was very hot, about 106 to 108 degrees. During monsoon season, however, which lasted approximately 3 months, it got down to 60 degrees and he wore a coat to stay warm. He also had to deal with lots of rain at this monsoon time. Communication to family back home was difficult. It was not like today where we have cell phones and email. He communicated with his family by a tape recorder. He would tape his voice, send it home, and his parents would tape record their voice and return it to him again. Also, there was telephones at MAR stations to use occasionally, but the only other option was penmanship, which Mr. Boltz also used.
Tell us if you received support from back home and how you felt about it.
That was the worst. We come home as veterans from Vietnam, not treated very well. All we wanted out of our reception to come home is to be accepted, loved. You went through an experience, welcome home GI, it didn't happen. We were spit at, we were called murderers, we were called baby butchers, we were called stupid, ignorant, So you found to the point where we almost got to be a group that was secluded. We would talk to each other, get to know each other, but we kind of try to stay in the background, away from people. Feelings hurt? Yeah.
In the war, Mr. Boltz was involved in Operation Oregon. He supported the Marine Corps by shipping them ammo and artillery. His platoon of 99 supplied Puff the Magic Dragon, which was an airplane that had Gatling guns on the side, and in 4 seconds, those Gatling guns could put a round of ammunition in a football field every square inch. It was a killing machine. Also, he was an assistant gunner on an 88 self-propelled howitzer. That was his MOS for the remainder of his service time. Mr. Boltz felt that the part of his job that was most beneficial to make a difference in the war was his ability to adapt and get along with people. He stated that when you're in a combat zone,
when you're in a situation where you're in a combat zone, you make friends real fast. You cover their backs, they cover yours, and you get to call them brother.
when his father died, his superiors came to the rice paddy to notify him that he was going home. He then served the remainder of his time at Camp Pickett in Virginia. Mr. Boltz was very fortunate because he had no battle wounds. Although this was a good thing, his friends were not so lucky. One of his friends, whom he was in Boy Scouts with, was decapitated by a helicopter blade. Also, 2 other guys that he was friends with were shot and killed while they were on patrol. Although Mr. Boltz did not have any battle wounds, he was badly affected by Agent Orange. Agent Orange was put out by Dow Chemical to be sprayed in the jungles in order to kill the foliage. It would actually turn the plants brown, kill them, and make them come down so that the GIs could come in. The Viet Cong then had no place to hide because it was bare. Agent Orange was very powerful, and Mr. Boltz was affected by this in many ways. The testings on him from 15 to 20 years ago proves that it was Agent Orange that caused many of his problems. He developed diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, corn acne, and 3 bouts of skin cancer. Agent Orange also can cause brain tumors and many cancers, such as lung cancer, liver cancer, colon cancer, and others. It was very nasty and affected the life of Mr. Boltz in a very negative way. He was tough and fought through these many problems.
Another trouble Mr. Boltz had as a veteran was that when he came home from Vietnam, he wanted to be accepted and loved. That was not even close to the reaction that he got from the people back home. People spit at these veterans, calling them murderers, baby butchers, stupid, and ignorant. All they wanted was a simple "welcome home, GIs," but it did not happen. These group of veterans were secluded and stayed in the background of things away from people. Many feelings were hurt because of these reactions. When Mr. Boltz was on a boat going to Vietnam, he developed a relationship with a lost love in high school. She wrote asking him for advice with a boyfriend, and from that time on they wrote and recorded messages back and forth during his service time. When he returned to the States from Vietnam, they got married and have been together for over 40 years. They had a child named Joshua, and he recently found out that he will be a grandfather, so he is quite excited. We want to thank you, Mr. Boltz, for your service and your sacrifice that gave us our freedom, and we also want to thank you for helping us with this project.